Today on Cook's Country, Chris and Bridget visit Prince's in Nashville to try their famous Nashville hot chicken. They return to the kitchen determined to replicate the top secret recipe. Then Jack challenges Chris to a tasting of whole kosher dill pickles. Next, Adam reveals his top picks for skimmers. And finally, Aaron revives a classic recipe for cat head biscuits. That's all right here on Cook's Country. Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen is brought to you by DCS by Fisher & Paykel. America's cooks rely on innovation and culinary precision. DCS by Fisher & Paykel, offering premium indoor and outdoor kitchen appliances. Chef's Catalog, offering kitchen products for home chefs and cooking enthusiasts. Online at chefscatalog.com. And by Valley Fig Growers, offering a fruitful array of California figs.
We're here at Prince's for the, well, someone's here for the hot chicken and someone's here for the not so hot chicken. I'm here for the not so hot. Tell me a little bit about the three chickens we have here and which one you think I might want to eat.
Well, this is the hot, this is the medium, and this is the mild. But the redder it is, the hotter it is.
Are you ready?
Yep.
My eyes are watering. This is starting to get hot.
Can't blame him.
So, Bridget's been tucking into the hot.
I'm okay, Chris. No, it's really hot. It's really hot, but I have to say, it doesn't hurt. It's really flavorful. It's really, really good. Not yet.
What's the recipe? Because this is not Yankee chicken.
Ain't getting it out of me.
So Bridget and I have driven down the road to Bolton's Spicy Chicken and Fish because Lingerie would not give us the recipe, not even a chance. So we're gonna have some breast quarters. You're gonna do it extra hot, right? Extra hot. I'm going for mild again.
It's a bit painful, but it's so good.
So let's see if we get a little help with the recipe.
The recipe consists of a lot of love, a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, and much spice.
And then we're gonna go home to Cook's Country, and I guess we're starting with love. All you got is love and spices, Bridget. That's it, right?
Yeah, we'll bring in the Spice Girls.
Now, having been to Prince's, I know that I'm gonna need this.
You're gonna need a lot of chapstick.
You're not gonna need it. Oh, you have lipstick. You have lipstick, I have chapstick.
I'm well coated.
Well, one thing I have to say is they weren't real happy about a bunch of Yankees. Well, you're not a Yankee, but me coming down trying to weasel that little recipe out of them. So we actually have no idea how they make this recipe.
That's right.
So we have to go back and re-engineer it and get the flavor into the meat.
Yes, and what we decided to do was brine the chicken. Now that's an old standby for fried chicken, but we changed our brine a little bit to suit our hot, spicy Nashville needs.
Are you gonna put hot spices in the brine, Bridget?
So I've got 2 quarts of water here, and I've got a half a cup of just regular table salt and a half a cup of sugar. You know, one of the things that we noticed with that Nashville chicken, if you remember, is that it's a lot of bit hot and a little bit sweet, and that does help to temper some of the heat. And I also have here a half a cup of hot sauce. In the brine, it's actually quite diluted, so we're gonna get a little bit of that heat in there, but not too much.
Look out.
I promise.
Oh yeah, you promise. You always promise, right?
Just a touch of heat, a smidge. Chris, if you wouldn't mind, just go ahead and dissolve that, and I can talk about the chicken. Even how they cut up the chicken, we noticed, was completely different. It was cut into quarters instead of into 8 pieces like you do for traditional fried chicken. You need larger pieces of meat to balance out the heat. It was a larger meat to heat ratio is what we like to say.
Meat to heat. Did you trademark that?
I did, yeah. So I'm gonna show you how easy it is to quarter up this chicken. I'm gonna flip it over here. I'm gonna just cut out the spine or the backbone from the chicken. Very easy to do. Just take a good pair of poultry shears, flip it around. Same thing on this side. This is basically what's called a butterfly chicken at this point. Just want to crack that breastbone a little bit so it lays flat. So I'm just taking a knife right through this little bit of cartilage here. Makes it easier for it to crack open. So now I'm going to remove these leg quarters. So just taking it right here through the skin, just like that. So you've got your thigh, your leg quarter. Do the same on this side. And the leg quarter just comes right off. So now since I split that breastbone, it's going to be easier for me to cut right through the breast. All right, so now I'm going to put this chicken right into the brine.
The slightly seasoned brine.
It looks a bit sinister, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator. And we really don't want to let this go over an hour because it'll get too salty. So.
I think we should celebrate. This will be my last recipe on Cook's Country because this will kill me.
Yay!
I have a feeling, yay, everyone's happy.
All right, so now we're going to get on to the second part of what we think is the secret to Nashville hot fried chicken. This is 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And I just want to heat that up until it's shimmering. So you see some safe spices up here, Chris.
I like the fact that the red stuff is a small amount. That's good.
Well, the red stuff is paprika.
Even better. It's not that hot.
And it's a ½ teaspoon of paprika. That's a good background flavor to our spice blend. Now I've got a ½ teaspoon each of salt and granulated sugar. Again, it's that balance of sweet to heat that we noticed. And a ¼ teaspoon of garlic powder.
So we had heat to meat, now we have sweet to heat.
That's right.
Okay.
And sweet to heat meat. All right, so now, as you remember, we tasted a lot of cayenne in that Nashville hot fried chicken. So we know that the cayenne is basically where all the heat comes from. And this is pretty much the heat that we expect out of one of our older recipes.
Just a standard fried chicken,
sure,
not a hot one.
That's
okay.
an 1/8 of a teaspoon. And we figured out that this, a tablespoon of cayenne, is pretty much the mild version of the Nashville hot fried chicken, which is what we're going for. That's a lot of cayenne.
What's that?
You're terrified here.
Yeah, I am terrified.
This is 3½ tablespoons.
That would be
cayenne.
about what that tasted like.
That's right,
yeah.
the extra hot fried
I'm a little
chicken.
surprised it's this much. But we're going to set this aside because we're not going to use this,
You're
right?
terrified.
Right? Bridget, could
All
you
right.
just get that away?
I will put that aside.
Okay.
But I am going to add the 1 tablespoon
Okay.
into our spice blend here. And you know, blooming this in the oil, it is going to temper the heat just a wee bit.
Yeah.
So in goes that spice blend. Just going to cook it quickly, about 30 seconds. It's really all you need. And you'll start to smell it, but I wouldn't put your head right over this.
You're not actually making it hotter now, are you?
No,
Okay.
we are not intensifying the heat, but we are intensifying the flavor.
Okay.
So we're going to let this cool down. Our chicken still has a few more minutes in the brine before we move on to the next step.
Okay.
All right, so the chicken is out of the brine. We're going to get ready to dredge it here in just a minute. This is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and a ½ teaspoon of black pepper, and a ½ teaspoon of just regular salt. That's it for the spice coating. Very simple. Now I'm going to take 2 of the chicken quarters at a time. Just dump them in there. Just want to press that in there and put it right on a rack, and do the same with the leg quarters. We're going to leave this chicken there while we heat up our oil, and we're doing that on purpose. Usually you would have the oil heated up and you would coat the chicken right at the last minute, but we want some of that moisture in the chicken to kind of wick out and create a gummy coating on that, and we're going to dip it right back in this dredge. So I want to leave this here, and I've got 3 quarts of vegetable oil or peanut oil. You can use either one. We love the flavor of peanut oil. Just want to heat that up to 350 degrees, and that's going to take a few minutes. All right, looks like our oil is just about at 350 degrees. I'm going to dredge or re-dredge the chicken. You can see how it's got kind of a gummy coating on the outside. That's some of the moisture from the chicken that's come up and mingled with the flour. Now this is actually a great thing because we're going to dip this right back into the flour. It's going to create a doubly thick, crunchy coating. I'm going to drop these just 2 at a time right into the oil. And the temperature of the oil is going to drop quite a bit. But we want to maintain about 300 degrees to 325 degrees. It's larger pieces of chicken, so it's a little bit of a lower oil temperature. That way, we can cook the chicken through without burning the exterior.
Meanwhile, I'm going to chat with Adam, who's been testing skimmers. We'll see if design actually does make a difference. When I was a kid, a knife was a knife, a whisk was a whisk, and a skimmer was a skimmer. You only had one choice. Today, we're drowning in a sea of consumer choices, and we're here with Adam, who's going to sort out that sea so we don't drown when we go into the store. I mean, what is this? This doesn't look like a skimmer to me.
Too much choice for
What
you,
is this?
Chris.
This is like for kitty litter.
That counts as a skimmer. You can use it for a kitty litter if you want, but not that one, please. You have to
That's
go
a big
buy
kitty.
your own. We're going to do a little demonstration. So I want to drop these frozen French fries into the hot oil first. There, we're going to let them fry. We tested 5 different skimmers, and these are designed so that you can get food out of hot frying oil or boiling water really easily. Our 5 had a price range of $12 to $30. And there are a couple of basic items when it comes to these skimmers. One is the material from which they're made. This one is actually reinforced nylon, which is new to the market. This is sort of an interesting choice.
So if you put this in hot oil, it's not going to melt it?
It's not going to melt on you.
Okay.
Obviously, you have metal skimmers like this one. You'll find a lot of them with wooden handles like this. Wood absorbs some of the odors from the cooking oil, so we weren't that crazy about that. Second issue is the handle. You can see this one comes straight out from the bowl. We prefer to have a little angle like this one to keep our hand further away from the sides of the pot and the hot oil. Third thing, and very important here, is the design of the perforations. This is the cat litter scooper one with the small perforations. And the idea is you want to drain the oil. You want the oil to be in the pot, and you want to put the fries there. And you can see that we actually have fairly big stains on the brown craft paper there. Let's try this one with the long slotted perforations. We're going to take out more fries, let them drain for a second, and then put them on the brown craft paper. And again, you can see we actually have dripping oil because it pooled in these areas here. That's not ideal. This was the best of all possible worlds. This one is the open wire mesh with an angled handle. You can see the oil drains right out really easily. It doesn't hold on to any of it, and you really don't get much on the brown paper there. So this was our winner. This is the WMF stainless steel mesh wok strainer. It's $18, but it's got a handle with a good angle to keep your hands away from the oil. It's got that open mesh basket. It's easy to pick up the food, and it's a great skimmer.
So the winner at Cook's Country is this great design. It's the WMF stainless steel wok mesh strainer for $18. It leaves all that hot oil in the Dutch oven and not on your food.
All right, so it's been about 20 minutes. Now the internal temperature of the breast meat is about 160, so I know it's done. Just going to put it over here on a rack that I've set over a baking sheet. Look at that coating, super crispy. Okay, so now I'm going to put that in a 200-degree oven to keep these two warm. Now I can re-dredge the second two quarters, the leg quarters that have gotten gummy and have been sitting on the side here. So just toss them back in the flour. And the oil is just about at 350, so we're safe to put in the second two chicken quarters. In they go. Another 20 minutes, and we'll be eating fried chicken. So that second batch is ready to come out. Looks great.
Well, you know, I'm comforted because it looks like fried chicken.
It looks sane, doesn't it?
It looks like we're still in a normal environment here.
This is that spice mixture. Just want to stir it, recombine the spices.
Is this kind of optional for some people? Or is this like you got to put it on?
Do you want fried chicken today?
You want to eat or not?
It's not optional.
Okay.
And I want to brush the spice oil all over the chicken. Now, is that starting to look familiar?
We just went from sane to insane, but it's all right. Now it looks like we're princes. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. It's just turned red from that cayenne. Danger, danger. All right, so I'm going to serve it up Nashville style. Piece of white bread on the bottom to absorb any of those spicy...
To absorb the tears.
Fatty juices,
when it goes down.
And in Nashville style, there's your pickle spear.
This is really going to ameliorate the heat. A few bread and butter pickles there. Okay.
It was nice knowing you, Chris.
Thank you. You know, this isn't like you go first, I'll be right behind you. Is that what this is going to be? Go ahead.
I'm right behind you.
Have it. I want to make sure. How is it? Good? Here I go. This is not too hot for me. So we took Nashville hot fried chicken, we took it up north to Cook's Country, and the secret was doing a flavored brine with half a cup of hot sauce, which is quite a lot. And then we bloomed some spices, including a tablespoon of cayenne, which was probably a lot less than they might put in, which might be over 3 tablespoons. Thank you, Bridget. And then we fried it with a very thin flour coating, but let that chicken sit for about 10 minutes or so, gets gummy, and recoated them again to get a nicer crust. So there you have it, from Cook's Country, a great recipe for Nashville fried chicken, even one that I can enjoy.
How about that? You're still standing.
Show the love. So So we got flabby pickles.
No, these are not flabby pickles.
These are crispy pickles?
These are kosher dill pickles. They're whole. We sliced them on a mandolin so that they'd be even thickness for you, Chris, and for the studio audience to taste them, but they were whole pickles. Kosher dill pickles has nothing to do with Jewish dietary law. Kosher usually means there's garlic added.
Oh, really?
Obviously, dill means that there's dill in them. So those are two flavor notes you want to be paying attention to. There are two ways to make a pickle. Processing in large tanks, and then put them in a jar, add some more brine and vinegar, and then it's shelf stable. They can also put the cucumbers directly into the jars and add the brine and keep it under refrigeration. No surprise, the ones that are under refrigeration are much crisper, and they actually came out at the top of our rankings. Do you have any thoughts here about what you're tasting, anything that you're liking, anything that you're not liking?
This is the freshest tasting.
I can actually hear the crunching, Chris.
I'm going with crunch. I would say this is the crunchiest.
All
the
right.
freshest tasting.
And least favorite among them?
Least favorite, well, probably this.
Okay. You want to start with least favorite?
No, I just want to win. That's all I ever want is to win.
Well, it's a partial win.
Oh, this is probably the winner, but go ahead. I don't like it.
No, this is the loser.
Good.
You have more confidence, Chris. It's
Okay.
going to be fine. These are Vlasic. The studio audience did not like them. Test kitchen panel didn't like them. You didn't like them. They're not refrigerated. They're much more limp. They don't really have any garlic flavor that we could tell.
I thought that was a little limp.
This was the test kitchen panel's favorite. It's Boar's Head. Was the second choice of the studio audience. You actually picked
I like that.
the Clausen, which was the runner-up for the tasting panel, but the winner here with the studio audience.
Who are you going to listen to?
The people in front of us.
The angry people in mob in front of you, or the three people back here?
No, the differences between the Boar's Head and the Clausen are fairly slight. They're both refrigerated pickles. They both are made with garlic. This one's made with dried, the Clausen. This one's made with fresh. And this was my attempt to try to fool you.
Oh, you made these at home?
No, they're from Gus's on the Lower East Side in New York. We had really expected that the sort of gourmet pickles from the Lower East Side in New York were going to be more robust or crispier, and no, they were like our winners.
So if you believe the people standing in front of you, a majority rule, this is America, that's how it works. Clausen was the winner, although according to our test kitchen it was number 2, and they slightly preferred the Boar's Head brand. Everybody here in America loves biscuits. In fact, someone loved them so much back in the 1800s they wrote a song about them, and here's how it goes. How many biscuits can you eat this morning? How many biscuits can you eat this evening? How many biscuits can you eat? 49 and a ham of meat. How many biscuits can you eat this morning? Well, it turns out the Romans also liked biscuits. They made them back 2,000 years ago, and actually the name biscuit comes from the Latin bis, which means twice, and coctus, which means cooked. They were twice cooked. They made a slurry out of flour and water. They dried it on stones. They broke it up, and then they fried it. So those biscuits were actually twice-cooked biscuits, bis coctus. Well, it turns out in this country, biscuits were kind of hard. They were actually called hard biscuits for a long time. That's before we had leaveners. So you'd have butter, maybe some milk, flour, and salt, and you bake them up, and they were kind of hard. By the 1840s, someone had invented pearl ash. Now, that was a leavener made out of wood ash, and it turns out that started the biscuits to rise a little bit. By the 1880s, we had baking powder as well, baking soda. So things really started taking off in the world of biscuits. Now, in the South, they love biscuits. Now, for years, they used cornmeal, but after a while, they liked wheat flour. And it turns out in the North, we had a very high-protein wheat. Grown in the Midwest, it was shipped by railroad out to New England. In the South, that kind of wheat didn't grow very well, so they had a softer wheat. The kernels were actually softer. It was more of a cake flour. You probably know the white lily flour from Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, those made incredibly light, fluffy biscuits. Now, there was one other ingredient in Southern biscuits, and that was lard. It came from pigs. It was the fat around the kidneys. It was rendered. It was boiled. The cracklings were skimmed off the impurities. It was then strained and chilled, and they made fabulous biscuits with a sort of soft flour and their delicious leaf lard. Well, today we love Southern biscuits. In fact, there's one style we're going to talk about right now called cat head biscuits. They're actually as large as a cat's head. They were said to be invented at a logging camp when they had a bunch of hungry loggers. It was easy to make a fewer number of really large biscuits instead of hundreds of smaller ones. So let's head into the test kitchen with Aaron and rediscover a great lost recipe from the South, the cat head biscuit. You know, I'm obviously from New England, so if you say biscuits for breakfast in my household, This is what you're going to get, a classic baking powder biscuit that's stamped out and baked. Now, we're going to travel down south and come across a totally different biscuit, the cat head biscuit, and it ain't going to look anything like this.
Extremely different.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off by combining our dry ingredients. We're going to add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups of cake flour, a tablespoon of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of salt. So traditionally, cat head biscuits were made with a southern all-purpose flour, usually white lily.
And we actually found a bag of it right here. And this has a very low protein content. It's close to cake flour, it's 8 to 9%. Some of the flours we're used to here in the north, however, basic all-purpose flour like Pillsbury is probably 10 or 11%. It's a little harder wheat. And actually, if you buy King Arthur, that's actually closer to 12%. So we like that softer wheat, that white lily, because it gave a more tender crumb to the biscuit. But in this case, we decided, since it's not always available up here in the north, we would approximate it by using half cake flour and half all-purpose, which gets you pretty close to the white lily that we like.
Exactly. So now we're going to whisk this together till it's just combined. We are going to take 8 tablespoons of butter that's cut into half-inch pieces and that's softened, and 4 tablespoons of shortening, which is also cut into half-inch pieces and softened. I'm going to take this fat and I'm just going to kind of rub it between my fingers. I'm going to coat all the flour with the fat.
So what is it supposed to look like? It's supposed to turn sort of mealy? Is it?
Yeah, it looks like cornmeal. All the flour is coated and we're good to go. Our next step is to add 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk. Okay, so now we're just going to stir this until there's no more dry ingredients left. We're not going to knead it. A lot of biscuits say to knead it until it just comes together and you're kind of developing the gluten there, but we don't want to develop gluten here. We're just combining this until it's just combined. So our next step is we're going to take this 9-inch cake pan that has already been lightly sprayed with baking spray, and we're going to scoop heaping
blobs
of biscuit dough. This recipe is going to make 6 biscuits. But right after I prepared my pan, I also sprayed my scoop so that the dough comes out nice and easily. So our next step is to bake them. We're going to bake these in a 425-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes until they're golden brown and puffy. So these cooled for about 10 minutes, and now we're ready to eat.
So I'm not going to put anything on mine to start. Let's just divide it right in half. Look at that.
They're a tall layer. Yep.
Very, very tender. Wow. And these don't have layers like a traditional northern biscuit. They also add a lot of flavor, too. It's not just soft and tender. These are phenomenal. They took about, what, 30 seconds to put together? So the secret was going down to the south to take an old lost recipe and make it new again. Instead of using white lily flour, which was hard to find, we combined cake flour and all-purpose flour. We used butter as well as shortening, and Erin worked it in with her hands, so it was really fine. Buttermilk to finish into a very hot oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, and there you have it. A fabulous recipe, cat head biscuits, the best biscuit recipe we've ever done here at Cook's Country. If you want this recipe, our tastings and testings from this season, also selected episodes from our show, go to our website, cookscountrytv.com. And now I'm going to have a champ.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
All of today's recipes are just a click away. Visit our website anytime for free access to this season's recipes, taste tests, and equipment ratings, or to watch our current season episodes. Log on to cookscountrytv.com.
Best Country Recipes. Cook's Country TV's home recipe companion includes every recipe, taste test, and equipment rating from this season's shows. With the recipe companion, you will also receive this 2-DVD set featuring all 13 episodes from this season. The cost for Best Country Recipes and the 2-DVD set is $19.95. To order, call 1-800-888-3384 or order online at cookscountrytv.com. Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen is brought to you by DCS by Fisher & Paykel. America's cooks rely on innovation and culinary precision. DCS by Fisher & Paykel, offering premium indoor and outdoor kitchen appliances. Chef's Catalog, offering kitchen products for home chefs and cooking enthusiasts. Online at chefscatalog.com. And by Valley Fig Growers, offering a fruitful array of California figs.
Ready? And action. We don't want to make a McFlop, but we do want to make chicken McDuggets from scratch, yes. We do have to taste it.
Thank you, Chris.
The idea of no bake, the idea of simply putting someone in the icebox and eating them when they grow up, yes. We need a minute to just look at this.
You can have your minute.
Come on. Wok mesh strainer. Okay.
Wok mesh strainer.
Wok mesh strainer. Stainless steel Westmock, the Westmock strainer. Why do I let you do this to me?